Check 1 2 1 2.
Check. How you guys doing?
Hey.
How you doing, Dave? How you doing, Mr. Noodles?
Hey, here we are. Type 88 Radio. Last episode of the year.
Happy New Year.
We here. This guy has had quite a year. And, we're going to get in between all the lines of things he's been putting into and all the effort he's put out there and all the people he's looked out for and supported. And we were just reminiscing, but
Yeah.
literally met this guy 10 years ago. And Charlie B was like, yo, you got to meet this guy. He's hungry. He wants to make art. He wants to just get out there. And then, but I didn't even know him. And I remember Jahtiek came as I was designing a window display for the 40th anniversary of hip hop. This guy did not even know me for anything. And he spent like 4 hours with me, spray painting the wall. And I knew that day that this guy was different. So here we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
And
Wow. The hieroglyphics.
I remember that. Because we had the pharaoh hats, and he's like, oh, I got to do the hieroglyphic with this. And bro, I remember that like yesterday, and it's just been dope to be this guy's friend for 10 years. So we got my guy here, Jahtiek Long, a.k.a. Sir Clifton. What's up, man?
How you doing? Here? That's really wild, Dave. It's really crazy to think about it because like it's 10 years on point, And it's wild because it's been like, yeah, I mean, you've seen we've seen each other grow through a lot of different things in life, and just like, I mean, you got to really see like early stages of where I was at, before it was even a career. It was an idea. And then you saw me like claw. You saw me, it was like, nah, I'm gnawing at the seams that you kind of like, really make my own lane and carving it, because I was doing some because Shell and French, like it turns 10 years,
Wow.
Next year, 2014. And it's just like, it's a weird project. I dig it, but it's like, I looking back, I get why some people were just like, I don't know about this. I was like, you know what? I get it. I get it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still think it holds some of it.
I like that. I like when you put that out because everyone I knew was doing hip hop, and you just were on some. You were always on your own wave, man. Like I remember that, and you went to MDXV.
Yeah, always, man. 15.
It's crazy. So it's just cool to just see that, and then fast forward a little bit of time. Here we got all the lines in between. So it's 2023. The album is here, and it's stirring it up right now. You're all over the place. I open up the advance. I see you. I turn on the news. I see you.
Yeah, man.
Who would have thought a ukulele would take it this far?
Exactly, man. It's from an island. I'm from an island. It just ain't tropic, man. Yo, my face was really, but in the Staten Island advance when they printed it, you can they printed my headshot for that section, and it's just like, yo, bro, that is so dope. It's like, come on, man. I'm so proud of that, bro.
That's crazy.
I took that photo too, so it was like a double win.
Oh, that's cool. Let me just
So guys, I'm really, really just hyped to be here. Shout out to the boy Dave Noodles. He's been doing this for 15 years, man. 15 years in the game, bro. 15 years. He's goated, man. He's goated. Everybody know Dave Noodles. Dave out here from doing stuff in the scene, whether it's on the foreground, vending and making giving bookmarks out, but then he's in the schools too. Shout out to my man. He out here.
It's an honor. It's been an honor, and it's just been amazing to see your growth, bro. And here we are, all the lines in between. So to think, Shell and French had hip-hop house vibes. And then I remember you did the joint project with Brand New, which was hidden. And it was super retro hip-hop vibes.
Yeah, it's still kind of you can find it if you look for it. The new old school, man. We were young. You hear it in our voices too.
Yeah.
Both of us, you could hear the confidence, we were confident-ish. We were confident enough, but you can see like we really both like grew into our own
Yeah.
artistry over the over those years, you know?
Yeah. I remember Gibmas. You were
Yeah, that
like,
just came out. That was 9 years ago.
that's crazy.
That's where I met Tiffany Porcu.
Wow. Yeah, so that was amazing. And here you are, man. Like, so the evolution of just you, I've seen it on record, I've seen it in person. But let's maybe kind of break down, how even like the title came to be. Because I know that the title is so important to any project, and like it kind of paves the way for the story you're about to tell. So maybe break that down a little bit for us.
So honestly, title wise, I was hanging out with Brandon and his partner at the time, and like I've been working on this album. I was working on this album for a hot minute, but part of it was because learning the ukulele, and I really wanted to. We'll talk more about that later. But title wise, it was like really wanted something that spoke to relationships that also showed like that you could look at this on the surface level, but if you look at it deeper and like then even go deeper, that this is a project that is a narrative, and that on the surface there you may see like, oh yeah, these are songs that just they kind of connect, it's about relationships, but there's a story. But then it's also a play on reading in between the lines. We say that like, oh, you got to read in between the lines. And we mostly use that for things that have to do with relationships. So all the lines in between, like where it shows the nuance of relationship, like the good, the bad, and all the lines in between. You know what I mean? The gray areas,
Fact.
So that's really why I really like the title. And it just hits.
Yeah.
It just hits. It sounds like it's like, it kind of got like a book film title.
You wanna like dig into it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, what's in between? What are these lines he's talking about?
Yeah, it's a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's funny because I like, it's one of the first times I really like kind of spoke about this, like on like, interview wise, where I've had this idea for the longest about like how this album could be either a straight line from the beginning, where it's like Hello Starlight, into the last song, It's Cool, where you have the story where it could be like, oh, you have an aha moment, or it could be a circle because it's about relationships where we sometimes fall victim to the same patterns, and then we're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Or sometimes we move forward and go straight. So I like that. The idea, like there's always been, I think even in that way, it's just like this idea of a line, and then
I love that. No, it's definitely, it leaves much to the imagination, but it also kind of sparks it. Like, all right, we're about to go on a ride real quick. So, you started off Hello Starlight.
Yeah.
And like maybe we could kind of talk about the inspiration of that one and maybe break that for us.
Got you. So Hello Starlight is when I play it acoustically, it's the intro to Cosmos, but I didn't want Cosmos to be even longer than it needed to be, because I added a breakdown and I was like, this is 6 minutes. I was just like, maybe that's too long. Gotcha. But I think that it's such a great way to come into this world as an intro, like, and it has like this this dreamy feel to it, where it's like you're being transported somewhere, where you have these like ukulele, you have I have a pitch shift ukulele under the main uke to have like a deeper tone, and I feel like it kind of feels like a harp almost, where you have such this kind of really pretty ballad almost. And then the title, Hello Starlight, is a reference to Steven Universe. And I love that show, but also the reason why I wanted to name it that was because Steven Universe, there is he plays the ukulele, like, so that ukulele connection, and like, paying homage in that way, but then like the character that says that, Hello Starlight, is her name is White Diamond. She's like the final antagonist, but is she really bad? And that's kind of what like, they talk about in the series with like drama and whatnot. But I always just liked how that sound. I'm not saying that's like, oh, like, but that's like, she being her White Diamond was the inspiration. But just that line, "Hello Starlight," to pay homage to Steven Universe. He plays the ukulele, I play the ukulele.
Gotcha.
It's fire as a title,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? But
Works.
then also the ukulele connection.
That's real. I love it. So I love how you're thinking about the process, also the delivery, and it's like, all right, I gotta. I don't know if I should make this record 6 minutes, and of course, that sparked the whole thing, and then it leads us into Cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe break that down a little bit for us and give us kind of the backstory or the inspiration of this.
So Cosmos was one of the first songs that I wrote, and before I knew that it was going to be a larger body of work, and so it got better and better. So the way that it connects with Hello Starlight though too is that for the beginning of Cosmos, I kept getting better. I kept getting stronger as a ukulele player, and I was like, let me add this on to the beginning. This is the new intro. So like that's how Hello Starlight came about, because it was like, wow, this is strong, and this is the new intro to it. So then it always had that connection to Cosmos. Cosmos is the beginning of the end of a relationship. It's so sweet. It's such a dope song. I love it. It's almost like, at the time when I wrote it, lovey-dovey vibes, but then also it was yeah, something raw and vulnerable. Like I'm exploring that in that kind of way. And then I look back at the chorus where it's like, again, like, all the lines in between, where in some ways I feel the chorus contradicts itself, where the verses are like, just like, this proclamation of love and like, yo, I'll be here when you, even if you're not like around, just look like, just look at the moon, what, like, that's how we're connected. But then the chorus is like, what does it mean to love you? Where it's like, I don't know. That doesn't sound like the best thing to kind of like, you could spin it as something that's kind of sweet at times,
Yeah.
But I feel like even that sentiment has a duality to it,
Totally.
where it can be like, it's like, I can't fathom all the ways of like of how much I love you. But then also the other side of it is like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah,
I don't know what this means. So it's like this I feel like it's contradictory. And so production wise, Cosmos originally kind of sounded like what is it like? Think like Blue Monday. You know that song? It's like, but or like, kind of more emo vibes. It's kind of an emo song a little bit.
Yeah.
But production wise, it was way heavier. But then I was like, this is not the best way to open the album, because Mr. Weatherman always was going to come second. And I was adamant about not having any like drums on it. So it was just like, I felt as though I needed production that was groovy, upbeat, that brings you into this world. But then I didn't want to have drums that were too bombastic in a way, that were heavy, where you can groove with them, but they weren't intrusive. You know what I mean? Like, where like if you look at like how it sounds like, oh, dance vibes, but if I made it like more rock inspired and like harder hitting drums, it would have took a very sharp turn going into Mr. Weatherman. It already takes a turn, but it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think if it was more aggressive, it wouldn't have. Plus, like, I really wanted to make it super spacey, like Cosmos, and and I think the title just came from all the space imagery. You know what I mean? Space is cool.
It is.
I think it's dope,
It definitely is, and it's like, oh snap, and the relationships are just so complex, and the whole talking about love and what's the meaning of it and all that. It's just like I feel like the maturity you're reaching on this is is like unlike any other thing you've done. You know, and I feel like your songwriting and even the maturity be like, as a hip hop head growing up on drums and 808s and all these things that were, like, took over our lives as kids, musically, sonically. It's hard to even pinpoint what you even listened to growing up. So that's what's cool about this album. It's not like anything that I've ever heard.
I appreciate
personally.
that. Damn, that's
So,
man.
cool.
Let's get it. You guys heard it here first.
From you, of course, and then just in general,
Man.
like everything I'm around, it's a whole other wave, man.
I really appreciate that. I feel like that song is one of my production wise, I feel like it's Daft Punk meets like some like with those like congas and percussions kind of meet like Pharrell when he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then also uniquely my own of like, in a way where the uke just adds this whole other element where it's like, okay, like, cause that's the thing too. It's just like the ukulele, before we go any deeper farther though too, it's like, because, I'm into, for those who don't know, like, Sir Clifton, that's my musician side and all that. That's my stage name for that. Just so people like, to keep it separate. But I'm an artist. I'm a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary artist where I approach this the way I would approach a show, kind of, and like, making a big body of work where when it came down to just Cosmos, like, no, not even Cosmos, the ukulele. I picked up the ukulele because I wanted to integrate it into my sound. What would this sound like through the context of my music, but then also in the context of Staten Island, and with like, and really letting myself be inspired by, because like for a long time, it's like, you've been on the scene for a long time where for a long time, just really seeing all the amazing musicians and sound going here where it's like, well, what does the Staten Island sound like? And that was part of the intention though too. It's like, how can I make the ukulele bring this in, showcase my own sound, but then also let home sing through this instrument. You know what I mean? So I think that production wise, it just adds something just very unique, I've had some people think it was a guitar, but like, and I understand that, but I think that like it being a ukulele is super crucial to enjoying the album, quite frankly. You know what I mean? Because it's like, again, we don't hear a ukulele in this context. If it was a guitar, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Where we hear guitars in this a lot, in this style of music and all that. Well, these styles of music where it's like, but a ukulele? Nah. So I think that was very like crucial too. Like the intention of it was like, how can I make something? How can I utilize this instrument, and make something dope with it? You know what I mean? On the art side of like, okay, it's body of work, but then also really rap wise, like I could spit for sure. At the same time, I realized that I wanted to go deeper with my writing in a way that it's like, all right, am I writing for myself or am I also writing to put things out into the world, And so I really want to practice that with this body of work though too, where it's like storytelling, and like this whole thing was an exercise for me. That's why it took so long. Like I've had some folks say, why did it take so long? It's like, because I wanted it to be the best that I can make it. Yeah, I could like, cut corners, but like the aspect of like,
it's important. It's something you're going to look back on, and it's representative of your life and everything you're going through. And it's true, you do make it for yourself, but music could help others. And it helps so many people. It's helped me, and songs have got me through moments. And no, you really tap into the emotional side, but also connect. Like I've heard the records, and it was like they were emotional connections. Hearing them, and I could think of what you were going through, but also I'm remembering what I'm going through. Yeah. During that. And I like how you did that.
Yeah. So, and that's why, like, like, can you scroll up a little bit with the cover? So that's why, like, with the cover of the album, like, which I designed to, like, and I think that's the thing too. It's like, I was, I, I did this in a way where it's like, I produced everything. You know what I mean? There's only about like 4 people who are featured on it in different ways. Other than that, it's all me, from songwriting, composition, and then, like, the album design with the album cover. Because I'm a visual artist, and I brought in, like, some elements of my previous artwork, but then there's a woman that's featured on it, and her face is blurred out somewhat, like her eyes are blurred out, because, like what you were saying, it's like everyone has their own person or people that they're going to think of when they listen to this body of work. It's a moody album. I don't think someone, like, to listen from start to finish all the time, like, you know what, cool, I appreciate it, but also it's like, I understand it's a heavy album at times. It's moody. But like, everyone has their own person. And that's why I wanted to, like, because it's not about who it is, about who the album is about. It's the idea, because I feel like this is basically my 20s, like, in different ways, in relationships, and shout out to therapy. So, like, and just maturing and learning these different things. But like, so I pulled from a lot of different places. And again, it's about the idea, because we all have somebody we can project that image onto, or people we can project that image onto. So that's why with the cover, I really wanted to kind of capture that,
That's real, man.
Also the lines. I was like, let me keep this line motif as much as possible.
That's real. I'm even seeing, I'm also seeing the early work of you visually. Like, on the right side, it's kind of the hieroglyphic.
Yeah.
It's like
the
the
Live in
Jahtiek.
Hope,
Yeah,
the Live in
yeah.
Hope stuff, when I was doing
back.
that stuff, and like, that was actually a suggestion by, like, one of my friends. Like, I've got feedback on that's, like, I made like 5-6 versions of this cover, and this is like, it was super zoomed in at first on the face, and I was like, I don't know, and then, like, my friend was like, it needs more jaw, and I was like, I got you. She was like, you got to put, like, like your squiggle things that you be doing. I was like, you know what? Let me see how that looks. And I was like, yo, honestly, yeah. Yeah. And I was like, when I landed on that, I was like, I got it,
Yeah, it leaves, it's same thing. It just, it opens my imagination. Like, where are we going to go here, right? I see lots of stuff happening. So then you transition to track 3, Mr. Weatherman.
Yeah, the OG.
Yeah, so, because I remember this record kind of being, when I would see your clips or I would see you at an event, this was been your go-to.
Yep.
And so this song is such a vibe, and maybe we could kind of talk about the spark of it.
So, Mr. Weatherman is the first song I wrote on the ukulele. So it always holds a special place. Yeah. It's like, it's the seed of the album, and I love it because it's such a melancholy song, but it sounds so happy. It's one of the most ukulele songs I have on the album, and in general, where it sounds like it's it's like, I was inspired by, like, chorus wise, the Candyman, the Candyman can, like something like that, like that sing song vibe.
Yeah.
But that. Like, the song basically represents, and again, like the album, like, the start of the album is the beginning of the end of a relationship. Mr. Weatherman, in the context of the album, it kind of feels like at parts delusional though too, where it's just like, oh man, like, kind of happy, kind of sad. Like, it's sunny today, seeing silver linings, only see gray. Is it cloudy today? Used to see the sun, now I only see rain. A raindrop drops to my face. I can't erase the pain. Plants grow from the rain. I guess I'll do the same. Where it's like, oh, that's kind of sad. But then it's like, basically, the song is the sum of when you're arguing with somebody, or you're like, starting to be on shaky grounds, where it's like, what's the weather? What can I expect from you right now? Like, do I have to, should I dress for a sizzle? Maybe a little drizzle, wear a jacket, or loosen up a little, because what's the weather? what are we getting today? You know what I mean? And then it goes into like, you know, when you say my name, I can hardly breathe. When you look in my eyes, it's stars that I see. Was it real for you like it was for me? Where it's just like, that's sad, you know, but it's like people are like, it's so, oh my God, it's so cheery. It's like, is it? You know, but I also think that that's what I really love about it because
it feels positive.
Yeah.
But you're going through some shit in it.
Exactly.
You're talking about the experience. Yeah.
Exactly. Where again,
that's a recipe of a great record, bro.
The nuance, you know what I mean? The juxtaposition where it's like, okay, it's reading in between where it's just like, or like, you know, because I feel like it's one of those songs, kind of like a Hey Ya, where it's like, when you really listen to the words, you having good time, then you listen to the words, you're like, yeah, this is sad. You know what I mean? But love that song. And it's so special, like, you know, because that's the first song I wrote on the ukulele, you know? So
it all makes sense now.
Where it basically, like, you know, started to, it was before I even knew I was making an album. And like, you know, love how it came out on the record because it's like, I had so many demos of this and it got stronger and stronger. And I was just like, do I add other things? I was like, because I put out a demo tape of like 2-3 songs of what? No PDA, Cosmos, and then the XX. Because Cosmos sounds very different acoustically. And then No PDA sounds very different acoustically than on the record. But Mr. Weatherman and Worth the Trip, like the songs that people really gravitated towards whenever I played live, because like, you know, for some folks who've been able to see, like, cause I've been playing out and you see me play out, but like I was low key playing out, you know what I mean? Like as I was getting this ready. So it's just like going to open mics and playing like some sets, but so there are people who've been with this music for a long time. And I wanted to make sure that for certain songs that I knew I had to keep them close to the essence as possible, because it's like, I've had people just really rock with my stuff and it was like, I got you. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, let me not do anything too crazy, because I've been able to rock crowds with just an acoustic ukulele, making believers out of folks of like, what's this guy about to do with this ukulele? And then like, you know, blindside them. So it's got to make sure that I like, you know, I want to make sure. So that's why Mr. Weatherman, I didn't really add too much to it either.
I love it.
No drums, see? No, like.
And then you go to Gas Lamps.
I love that song.
Track 4. Break that down for us, because I know that, you know, we always hear about gaslighting and certain things. So what's the connection? Or maybe you could break this whole record down for it. Is there any connection to that?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So this song's all about gaslighting.
Yeah. So could you just break gaslighting down in just like a tweet to someone? Because not everyone, I don't know if everyone even knows what that is.
So basically gaslighting, the best way to explain it is like, say it's raining outside and you're with somebody and you're about to go out and you can look out the window and you're like, I really feel like I need an umbrella, and it's a downpour and they're just like, it's not raining. Why do you need an umbrella? It's not raining. You don't need an umbrella. And it's like, but I can see it's raining. It's like, it's not. Why would you need an umbrella?
Got it.
And then they proceed to let you go outside without an umbrella and probably have an umbrella themselves.
Yeah.
So gaslighting is a like, you know, like a silent kind of lethal form of manipulation.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the best way I would describe it, in a way that basically trying to make somebody believe that their experience is completely invalid in a way, but in a manipulative way.
Gotcha.
Because like some people will claim that they're being gaslit when it's just like, it's like when people weaponize therapy terms. So like that's the thing with gaslighting too, where it's just like some people have weaponized the term, and it does a disservice to people who are in like
Gotcha.
you really heavy abusive kind of situations, you
Gotcha.
know?
So here we are, gas lamps.
Yeah.
Break this down for us.
This song is not about my relationships or any relationship I've been in. I may have been I may have experienced it slightly, but not any like, like actually, yeah, no, I've experienced it. Like, like look in different versions, but like the inspiration of it is a relationship I seen growing up from a family member. And instead of being on my Marshall Matters and out here naming people and naming names, I transmuted that into a song, and it was very therapeutic. And I know that so I'm gonna break it down in like production and then like lyrics though too. So production wise, that almost had drums, and it was almost very fast, and it was like, no, I don't think that's the right move to go, like the right thing to do, because this song, the lyrics are eerie, the lyrics are real, and I think that if it was faster and had way more elements going on, that you wouldn't feel the lyrics as much. And there's also something really cool that because geeking out, because like as a producer too, as like instrumentalist, beat maker, producer, all that jazz, there's some cool things going on underneath it. So it starts with like transition wise too. It's one of my favorite transitions in the album, where you have thunder, like this thunderous entrance after Mr. Weatherman, which I thought was just like freaking genius. And so you have that, and then you have lower ukulele to give like that bassy tone, and then Amnea, she came in and she gave strings, because I was like, I feel like these really, I was like, strings would make this super eerie. Strings would bring out the scariness of this. And oh man, yes, it did. And so basically with the songwriting of it, it's like the first line, like so the verse is like, you think you going some, shadows dancing on the walls. Your love took a trip. Your love took a turn, evolved into something wicked. Illuminated rooms by gas lamps. Your eyes told stories that would sweep me off my feet. I'm kind of skipping a little bit because it's like rare when I do it like this. But the first verse and then the bridge and the chorus are in the perspective of somebody who is being gaslit in the relationship. You know what I mean? Where basically our protagonists in the story, they're going through that, when it goes through like the gaslighting. And then the verse, which I think is really I think it's a dope rap verse, honestly, too. But like, I also just think like, it's so real and heavy in a way of like, it's written in the perspective of the manipulator, the gaslighter, where, you think you going somewhere, not likely. I have found that love is blinding and mine is pretty binding. Like that constricting aspect of love is blind, playing on that motif. And then how people get stuck in those situations because that person has the power in that dynamic.
That's real.
Yeah, I think I have found out love is blind and mine is pretty binding. Almighty. I may tell a lie, but it's the truth. Delusional nonfiction. I play on your addiction. My words have conviction. I own your attention, keep you up in suspension. Where that's gaslighting 101, to be just like, delusional nonfiction. That's such a bar. But also it's just like, what is delusional nonfiction? It's not, that's a contradiction within itself, because if something's delusional, it has fallacy to it. So there's like, this person and those individuals know, some of them may have met, some people in those situations who are active manipulators do have underlying health, mental health illness. But also at the same time, it's just like, there's an aspect that knows. You're not telling me people don't know what they're doing. And so, yeah, like,
some real shit, man.
Yeah, so like, this song was basically, because again, like the album's about the nuance of relationships, where I was writing these songs, like the process of the project, where the first 3 songs are like, some of the first songs I wrote on the ukulele, that ended up staying on a project. Wow. Where then I started to see that I had sort of this narrative structure going on, and I was like, let me make a story out of this. And like, whatever comes out, I'll use, but also if it makes sense for the progression of what the story is. And so, the quote Sean MacArthur is like, 3 songs in, and like our character, our protagonist, or Sir Clifton, he going through it. It's just like, it's like, oh man, it's like, but that's also sometimes how love can be. Not, I won't even say love, relationships can be. You know what I mean? Because like, that's not, we conflate that word sometimes. So yeah, that's what, like, and just again, like one of my favorite lines on that too is like that. And it's like, I think it's one of my stronger performances where you have fights out of thin air. I know that you care. It's just hard to see where. You call it a circle. I call it a square. Matchlit candles replaced by gas lamps, where it's like relationships can start off very like, matchlit candles growing as sexy, wine and dine, to this is toxic. This is not good. Gotcha. We shouldn't be here. Where, and like, and exploring that. And there's actually a reference in the chorus that "Do you hear the steps in the attic, or am I going crazy?" Where that is a reference to the movie. I forget the name of the film, but that's where the term gaslighting comes from that movie. Wow. Because homeboy would, like, he would like basically the dude in the story who's doing the gaslighting to his partner, he would mess with the gas lamps, and like basically like turn them down. And she was like, "Do you hear there's steps in the attic? Do you hear the steps?" So that is in reference to that movie, shit. And that's like, cool. So it also just goes back to like, the origin of the phrase.
I like that. That's sick, bro. So you do the transmission, and then you go to the difference.
Yeah. So
let's chop that one up.
Got you. That's my jam, bro. I love the difference. So with the transit, with both of them too, because like the transmission's the interlude, where it's basically like, I wanted to have the transmission in there to show the passage of time, and I wanted to have another voice in there. So shout out to New, like, for lending his vocals to that, where basically sometimes at the end of a relationship, sometimes, we can isolate, and then like, your friends are like trying to pull you out, and it's like, yo, come on, you love, let's go out, let's get like, don't think about it, we miss you, there's more life out there, and it starts with the transmission starts with like, the spoken word piece, kind of, where when I was recording Gas Lamps, that was actually on the end of that, and I was inspired by like, Good Kid, Mad City, not Good Kid, Mad City, my bad, To Pimp a Butterfly, because I remember you was conflicted, misusing your influence. Sometimes I did the same. So I was like, I did that kind of for gas, like the vibe for Gas Lamps, but like I was just, in the heat of the moment, we say things that we really don't mean. Like it was just like free ball, and I was like, hold on, that's dope, and ended up sticking there. And the transmission, where you'll get a kick out of this story too, because I just really wanted to make sure cover that real quick, because like the transmission originally, I made that instrumental as a remix for Jordan Barone for like Same Thing. It wasn't that version. It wasn't that version that's on the album, but it didn't. That's cool. It was too much. I get it. Like, looking back, I was just like, this is radically different interpretation of the song, where I want to give it like those 808 Heartbreak vibes, where it's just like, I love that instrumental so much, and I was like, I need to rework it. I'm gonna use this on my album some way or some form. And I was like, let me use it as an interlude. Then I like reworked it and whatnot to kind of make it like getting rid of the elements that had like, Same Thing vibes, and just made it my own, because like it has such an 808s and Heartbreaks feel to it. And I felt like it was such a great like, transition between that and the like, the difference in the Gas Lamps, where it's like, all right, we can use this as a storytelling device right here, where we have like, Brandon come, like, a friend coming in saying like, yo, we're going to get you out. It's time to go outside. Get out the house, and, going with the space thing. That's why I called it the transmission, because it's just like, space vibes, and I wanted it to sound like radio, choppy, and all that jazz. So the difference, The Difference is my jam, bro. I think it's like, I love all the songs on the album, but like, and Dave, you know, I'm a house cat. I'm a house dude. That is such a house song, and I'm so proud of it, man. It's one of the only songs that don't, it's actually like one of the only songs that doesn't have ukulele either. So like,
why don't we get into it real quick?
Yeah.
So we'll drop that. So and we'll chop it up.
Enjoy The Difference. Sir Clifton. We're here on Type 88.
Get this.
We hope you're having a great time. Shout out to my boy Dave Noodles.
There's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. There's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. That may not be true. Hey, what you doing? Come on. Stop acting like that. Can we actually talk? Holla at me. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. What I tell myself as my mind starts to wander up and down memory lane. Feel like I'm going insane when I think of your name. Think of your name. There's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. There's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. Yo. May not be true, but you, the blue hue, was addicted to you until you withdrew. Even now, you still leave me confused. So tell me, baby girl, what you trying to prove? I'm better than your last, better than your next. I'm the best example, black excellence. But the flow, horrendous shit I meant is no. You told me I should let it go. I just thought I should let you know. You gon' miss this, don't dismiss the feeling deep inside. Put aside the pride, drop the walls, love me or leave me. This is how you chose to evolve, with us not being involved. So leave me alone. Full grown, ain't no games on my phone. This is how you chose to evolve, with us not being involved. So leave me alone. We both grown, ain't no games on my phone. Why you hit my line? Why you hit my line? Why you hit my line? Why can't I make you mine? Why you hit my line? Why you hit my line? Why you hit my line? When you're no longer mine.
I can see that you're having a hard time letting me
When
go.
I can't make you mine.
Please, let me go.
Cause there's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. There's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. So, hold me close, don't let me go. 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 Don't let me go. I hope you see the difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true. That may not be true. Cause there's a difference with being alone, and I just feel like I'm on my own, and that may not be true.
There it is, the difference.
It's
So
a difference.
That's a vibe, man.
Oh,
Great
man.
job.
I love that song, bro. That's my shit. Like, I don't know if I could curse. That's my snap. That's my jam.
No, it is. Bro, that record just took me places. It moved around. It literally felt like you were like dancing away, like as you were talking about, like dancing away. You go. I was saying it the other day. I was like, I just need to get out and just move around. And
Move your
dance
body,
and,
bro.
Yeah. And that's the one right there for you.
Yeah, that's what we like. I feel like, I like to call it the club scene of the album, and as far as the story goes, because you dance the pain away, and then like the heavy auto tune was an artistic choice because it's just like it's like that Frank Ocean line, computed emotion, zero emotion, kind of have a robotic vibe, coldness of like of when you're out of a relationship and you're like, yo, I don't know what to do, but I'm gonna go out, And I think that low key is just like, this is like the turning point on the album. Like, it's like, all right, out of that relationship, now this character is going out with friends, dancing. And and like, got the vocal sample from my homie Gabriella Slack. She's a phenomenal writer. Go check her out.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a vocal sample, man. That just like before the drop, because like kind of reminiscent of Todo y Moi, so many details. Oh my God, so cool. And then there's a just production wise, just very chill chords and whatnot. Really like, it's very heavy. We call it garage over here, but in UK it's garage. So UK garage, like, inspired drums. If you take the toms out of it, those blaring toms, it's a very garage like kind of vibe. But like really, but also, see, I took my own liberties with the style. And like I was saying to Dave too, like, off air, where if you listen to any of my old music, like my Shaolin French stuff, where might get a new one of those soon, maybe, been cooking up stuff for a bit, but like I love my house, and this is one, like I feel like this is if you've seen heard any of my old songs, this sounds like that. The more housey stuff sounds like things I was doing before, but where I am now,
Got you. Real shit, man.
Yeah.
Bad Enough. Track 7.
She's a solid 10.
You get out of the club. Now got Bad Enough. So
yeah, that's still
chop that up.
Homie's still in the clubs, bro. Like, what? Like I feel like like those two songs are like, just outside. That's the I'm outside. Like, going out, like, where it's like time's passed. You going like, character going out, you're going out in the relation after everything, and you meet somebody and you're like, dang, ooh, she bad, but is she bad enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, with this song is actually the oldest song, like the lyrics are the oldest song on the album. I wrote this, so I had that project in 2015, Escaping the Sea of the Red Zebra. Like, I had a song in there called Bad Enough, and I wrote this, like, those are the lyrics for this, but I wasn't confident to sing yet.
Gotcha.
And I felt like it really fit the vibe of this album, and I enjoyed how in between, like, it's very clubby kind of vibe. Very, you could say, like, I feel like Franz Ferdinand, Daft Punk, indie dance kind of song, feel good. And really, I really like the cool, like, Neil added bass on that, and Neil Sullivan added bass on that, and like some additional keys, and really so groovy. It's such a groovy, like, I had that lick and it's like, oh man, it's cool. So when I was playing the ukulele, and then like, I was like, yo, I could put Bad Enough on this, and I was like, finally, this could see the light, the song. And I was like, oh, it's here. It makes sense. But I also think that, like, for Bad Enough, I also like how it kind of takes a double entendre vibe, like, for like in the context of the album, it's like, all right, again, looking at all the lines in between. Are you bad enough? Are you like, are you somebody that's gonna, is it bad in the good, like, oh yeah, she's bad, like she looked good, but also, are you not good for me? Because sometimes we seek out toxicity to recreate certain habits and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting. It's not like something that's major, but I also think that it's kind of interesting to think about in that way, where like amongst these songs, even that chorus has a different connotation where it's just like, you know, are you bad? Or it's like, are you like in the way like, oh, she's bad. Are you bad enough? And that kind of braggadocious, like hip hoppy, poppy way. But also it's just like, are you bad enough for me? Are you going to help me continue this cycle that I'm on? Or am I going to break this? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I know there were points when I was single that like, I would like, you know, talk to people and I would kind of be in, and I would find myself interested. And then I had to, after therapy, I found myself being like, am I actually genuinely interested in this person? Or is there like, you know, signs that I recognize that I'm interested in that are like not so good? You know, is this person emotionally detached, unavailable? And I'm being like, nah, you're interested. So it's like, are you bad enough? So it's just like, you know, I think in the context of this, there's that duality that I really appreciate. Some people may think it is, some people may think it's not, but that's when you put art into the world, that's what it happens.
Real shit.
You know what I mean?
It's worth the trip, man, right? Like anyone on the island that's been through a relationship,
Yep.
most of us can definitely relate to this. So that's some real shit, bro. Worth the trip. I love this record. You know, for anyone who may be out of town, what's the trip?
Yeah.
What is the trip? What trip are people taking?
Yeah.
Break this down for
To
someone
be
who's
honest,
not an islander.
All right, for a non-Staten Islander, we gonna go micro. We gonna go micro, meso, and macro. Right. For a non-Staten Islander, basically, this is if somebody lives in Queens and lives in Queens and you live in Sheepshead Bay, or like, you know, you live in Brooklyn and they live in the Bronx. Like, you know, like long distance vibes, or not even that long distance, just like it's a bit of a commute to get to them.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if you upstate, if you in New York in another state, when somebody is a town over or a little bit of a town over, like 20 minutes or like 20 to 30 minutes, like 45 minutes above commuting time, that's a trip. That's a trip. Then this is worth the trip. That vibe. You know what I mean?
Real.
Yeah, it's the Staten Island love letter, but also love letter to New York City, the ferry, you know, because it's just like, again, like, you know, it's just a great vibe, a feel good song. When I was writing it, I was just like, it's like, yo, I love this. This is such a Staten Island song that is like unapologetically Staten Island, but leaning into it in a loving way and not in a way that's just like the iconography, you know. And
love it,
man, I love that song so much, and like people really dig it. It's like, you know, some people laugh at it where it's just like, oh, that's so funny. It's just like, yeah, but it's life, you know.
Talk.
Yeah, there was something I was gonna say though too. Oh, so that ferry recording, I've recorded that from my field recorder years ago because I like, you know, it should have an old producer should have a trusty field recorder just in case, you know. And that was like from one of the older boats because that's a real person speaking and not like the mechanical the whatever voice that is, you know, the robot voice computer. So like had to put that on there, you know. I was like, yo, this would be perfect. And it's just like, yeah, worth the trip, you know. And there again, just the aspect of songwriting. I mean, like, I was just inspired by, like, I just writing the song was just like, oh, this is great. Never really happened. You know what I mean? The sentiment has been there for different people in life.
Of course. Yeah.
Even like, you know, a current partner, I think, you know, where it's just like, oh, you're worth it. And where it's like, this is that song. Where in the context of the album too, it's like, he meets somebody on the last song, bad enough. It's like, okay, she bad. And like, you know, but then it doesn't really work out too much. It's like, okay, well, you know, the aspect of being single, talking. Then he meets that somebody who seems like they have potential. You know what I mean? The hazel-eyed brunette with an hourglass frame. You know, in the context of the album. So it's just like, now the protagonist finds, like, you know, now it's like, oh, meet that new person, where it's like this whole project, I think, is like, I like to say the span of like, when you think about it, like the beginning of the end of a relationship to then like the first probably 6 months or so after, like through or whatever timeline that may be. Just there's time that's passed after the relationship ends. There's time that passed, and then what it that when you're exploring what it means to be single again. Like that's what I feel like the difference, Bad Enough and Worth the Trip, kind of, and some of the other songs though too afterwards. But we'll talk about those. But like I feel like that's that part of dating at dating again, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then you got the process and then no PDA. Maybe we could talk about like the correlation or even just the connection or just break it down those records for us.
Oh, there's definitely a correlation. Like the sequencing on this heavily, because again, the sense is narrative driven, all intentional. So after Worth the Trip, you got the process. That's the baby making John. That's the grown and sexy R&B vibes. I love the production on that. I kind of wanted to be inspired by like Tyrese's Signs of Lovemaking for that. That's classic R&B track, like kind of that feel for the end, like Jagged Edge, not Jagged Edge, Genuine's Pony for that bass line, and like Daft Punk's that style of bass line for what is that Technologic. And so the process, more or less, like the song is just like with the person previously established in the last song, this new love interest, getting down, seeing what's up, you know what I mean? Take the time, enjoy the process, because in that moment that you're mine, I'm yours, So it's like that. And I honestly love that you put them together too, because it's one of my favorite transitions in the album is the process, from the process into No PDA, because it's hilarious, but it's also real life at times. I feel like I've been there of like somebody being like, whoa. Just because we got intimate don't mean that like you're my boyfriend or like I'm your girlfriend. That's not what we doing.
Gotcha.
So No PDA is basically like that pre-established relationship that like starts to form with the character, these characters story-wise from bad Worth the Trip onwards. You have she's basically saying like, no, that's not what we doing. You need to you're not my man, I ain't your girl. Where it's it's one of my favorites. And instrumentally, it's I love that song. It's also like got like that Daft, I feel like had some Daft Punk influence with that. But also the drums kind of got a kind of southern bounce in my opinion, a little bit at times, where it's just like it's kind of weird. It's a weird instrumental. Like it's definitely my style and my own, but it's like when I listen back to it, I'm just like, this is kind of strange, but in a good way. But it's like, I was like, all right, cool. Where it's just like, it feels like a Sonic song, like something from Sonic Adventure. And I'm not, if you just put the instrumental, it's just like, there's somebody it could be in a video game, which is like, hey man. So just story wise, it's like that's really, I think it's hilarious that it goes from the process to No PDA, because that song's all about being intimate to just like. Yeah, no, I don't want any public displays of affection. And that's always a crowd favorite. Like, love that song.
I like that because it's interesting how I don't want to say PDA is a recipe for success or disaster in any relationship, because everything is so one of one, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's interesting that conversation, because it comes up when you're with someone you care about.
Yeah.
And then that moment, and it's like a telling moment. If you do something and then it's met with either resistance or it's embraced.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what goes on from there? How do you take if it's met weird?
Mm-hmm.
Do you talk about it? Do you not? It's so like it opens up these new little levels of just trust, communication, and like understanding within the relationship or the not relationship that maybe you're almost there. Or
exactly.
Or you're on a path.
Yeah.
And that's like that understanding, like, wait, maybe we don't gotta put it out there right now like that. Let's keep the process going. So
Facts.
That's real.
And
you're really tapping into
the situationship song.
Yeah.
And it's so
that's
funny
real.
because I was talking to my homie. I was telling Sean about this, where it's just like, it's so funny that like if you replace like it's like you instead like on the first chorus verse is like you want to tell me all your secrets, baby. I'll just keep it if you just want to go that way. And then like a lot of you statements. If I was to put I in that, it's instantly like an F boy song. You know what I mean? It's instantly just like this guy ain't he up to no good. But like, so just songwriting wise though too, it's just like the first verse is just like, oh, this person is telling me all this stuff. And then the second verse is the like, the protagonist of the story where it's just like, oh man, I'm actually thinking about us. You know what I mean? Like, how can you say no when I'm doing this? Like, and X, Y, Z, I thought that this was what we were doing. And it's just like, nah. But then also like, with the chorus, it's like, they battle each other. It's like, she said, and then I said, no, 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 I ain't your man. Where it's just like the duality of like this person also telling other individuals that, while they're single, you know what I mean? What single life may be when you may be talking to other people, or even an aspect of being defensive of saying like, I show so much vulnerability and put myself out there for you to be like, oh no, this isn't what we're doing, in a way of being defensive, so that's kind of like,
tapping into a lot of growing pains that people deal with in the ins and outs of relationships, and it's some real stuff, man. And no, these are topics that are just heavy topics.
It's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stuff, yeah.
Where it's like, I feel like when it comes down to, it's funny because I didn't want, for the longest, I didn't want to write about like relationships and whatnot. And it's like this album, I just said, I F it. But then part of it though too is just like, all right, why not write into like, really explore this? Because it's also just like, when I realized what I was doing, it was just like, right, like writing wise, like I know I'm not the only person who's felt this before. I'm not the only person that's felt this way. So it's just like, I'm gonna put it out there because it's like, nah, this is universal, or helping people understand. Like if somebody understand what they may be going through, quite frankly, because it's just like, oh yeah, where it's like, again, where I feel like this album, each song has its nuance, where it's like, you can listen to it on like surface level of like, wow, it's catchy. Oh, you might even think it's a pop song, where it's just like, cool. But when you really listen to the lyrics, but then also everything that's going along with it sonically, it's just like, it offers a lot as an album, I believe, as a body of work.
So we get to the wrap up.
Yeah.
It's cool. Maybe just break that down a little bit for us, because what a ride it's been.
Yeah.
And here we are. It's cool.
So it's cool. It's cool is, man, what a way to end the album, because originally I was going to have another song end it, but it was too much of a downer. It was like, you go from It's Cool.
This has a positive vibe, and it feels good.
And I ended up basically using ideas from the other song and to It's Cool. So for It's Cool, I like to think of it as the aha moment. So basically the person that the main character, like, the protagonist in our story is dealing with, that girl, that person, that woman, no is gone. And so that character is left to think about, like, the person from the beginning, but also just the journey in general. I think that it's the, like, the end of a hero's journey in a sense, where it's just like, I tell you it's cool. I tell you, like, where there's a level of acceptance in the song, where, it's like acceptance and vulnerability of like, I tell you it's cool. I tell you it's fine. I tell you that I don't really mind, but that is a lie, because truly I do. I'm sitting here stuck on the image of you, where it's just like, you have this acceptance, and you have this also like this vulnerability of like, wow, maybe I've been avoiding things. You know what I mean? And that's how I've always kind of felt about the song, where it's just like, okay, I'm here. And the production on it really got like those old school hip hop drums, just straight uke. I love it. Like, I love the uke on that song, because it's just like, it's kind of got like very indie vibes, like kind of like Men I Trust, like one of those like really chill indie songs. And then just like the vocals that Monica brings in, like shout out to Monica Nova, does a phenomenal job. Like the way she just compliments it, where also I think that it also hits hard because it's one of the only other times, it's one of the few times another voice is heard besides my own, and it's a woman's voice, you know what I mean, which also I think amplifies that this could be for whoever, you know what I mean, as like, you know, for the listener. But then also um I really like the small detail that Monica's on Cosmos, and she's humming the melody at the end, like, you know, as backup wise, where on the last song it's full vocal. So it's just like, you know, I really think that's really cool though too, where it's like finding one's voice in a sense, like artistically, not her finding her voice, but like the aspect of this character coming to a realization of like finding their like aha moment, you know what I mean? But then also it could be, like I said, it could be a circle, a straight line. And for the ending of It's Cool, one of the things that's one of my favorite moments on the album, and with its ending, it ends with the spoken word piece that I had, like, you know, something I really wanted to keep, because I think that it really brings the album home. It's and you can hear under that spoken word, you can hear me and Brandon kind of like clapping, like, yeah, giving applause and whatnot, because it's like, if no one was gonna clap for me for finishing this, that's okay. I'm gonna clap for myself. That's how I felt. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I'm gonna give myself that applause. Me and my man's that applause, because we made this happen. I'm working on this for 5 years. I'm proud of this body of work. Sounds dope, and I thought it would be a great texture. Was reminded by Shout. I wanted to do something like, you know, the song Shout. It was like, yeah, all that stuff. But also it's like, and like J. Cole, he kind of has like an outro like that, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna give myself I'm gonna celebrate this, where it's like you hear that celebration. And so it also comes off like the credits. Like at that point, it feels like the credits of the album. You know, it's like, oh, this journey's over. But with that piece, it's at the end of it, like the last thing that you hear vocally is like, in time it'll all make sense. As time passes, the memories will fade. As time passes, the hurt will go away. One with time passes, the love fade away. And then it go only thinking of the other, you know. Only thinking of the other as the time passes. Like, I forget like the little part right now because I'm on the radio. But the closing thing is like, one will love the other still, one will let go. Looking back with a smile or a frown. Separate ceremonies and holy invitations. The past may be adjacent, but the hearts will tell if they'll begin again or become friends again, or become strangers yet again. Only time will tell what the heart already knows. Where I think it comes with an aspect of acceptance and surrendering, that give it to life. You know what I mean? The heart knows. The heart truly knows at the end of the day whether somebody is good for you or not. You know what I mean? And then the aspect of like, it's coming, like it closes with like, you know, I think that's just such a powerful, like, you know, separate ceremonies and holy invitations. The past may be adjacent, but the hearts will tell if they cross again. Where it's like, that's beautiful, you know, but also it's just like, it's real and it's raw, where it brings, sometimes we carry around our ghosts, you know, where I feel like that's kind of where that album kind of like, you know, apply, like, you know, you can see the person from like, you know, the end, the beginning of the end, that end of that relationship having an effect on that, like, you know, on the story. And like, you know,
I love it.
So also, but part of it though too is just like all those different people that were met in that time have an effect, where it's like even the person, like, you know, like, you know, worth the trip, the that character that's interacting there, worth the trip in the process, no PDA, where it's like, because it can apply to both of those people, where it's just like, only time will tell. Either way, surrender and just do what's best for you. You know what I mean? Heal, let go, and live, you know, and that there is, not everything is what it seems, you know. I dare to say that, you know, sometimes you got to read in between the lines and all the lines in between.
That's so real, bro. Bro, thank you for just taking us on a journey.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This is kind of like, you know, the breakdown. Like I feel like these are like the special feature. Like after
this is awesome.
I highly recommend, if you haven't heard it, go get it. all the lines in between, everywhere available. It's all streaming platforms, also available on Bandcamp for
Yes, sir.
sale. And my guy said it the other day. $10. Someone has to listen to the record like 20,000 times or something just to equate that. So you buy every record, you got 11 songs for $10. You know, our artists work so hard and put in so much effort. You literally just gave him like 20,000 streams.
Yeah.
Just by supporting. And you've been on a tear, bro, with the album. Add to this guy's sales, because I haven't seen anyone push albums like this since back in like the early 2000s when people are out selling mixtapes.
I appreciate it. That's how I feel.
I give you mad grind props, bro, because you're in a few hundred sales now, and I'm proud. It's great to see.
Yeah, I'm at like,
shining, man.
at like 164 ish. I'm trying to hit 300 before the end of the year.
Let's go.
Yeah, bro. And I was doing the math though too, where it's just like what that translates to about like stream wise, what that would be. And that's why also I feel like no one really can take that.
Right now,
no one can take that from me. Where it's just like, yo, bro. Also, I will also say, but like in the way of like not in my competitive rapper mode, but it's like I'm so grateful for all the support. You know what I mean? Wholeheartedly, and like just grateful, because it's like it's been a while since I put out music, and like, just to have people really rocking with it, like supporting the album by buying it, but also just like streaming it and like really rocking with it, where it's like, yo, thank you, because it's like I've been working on this for years. So it's like, I know it hits different for me. Now it's over. Now it's out, but it's also like, man, the grind starts, but I'm just grateful people really like the reception of it has been very, very warm. So like, thank you for all the support, and I'm really grateful to be here, Dave. Really, thank you for real.
Bro, you're always welcome back. Make sure to go to sirclifton.bandcamp.com, and it's right there. All the lines in between, available everywhere. And bro, keep shining that bright light. This guy is consistently put on for the city, for the artist community, and he's here with us, breaking down the album, all the lines in between, and we're on Type 88 Radio. So while we're here, let's get into a mix by the homie DJ Shame. He dropped something fresh off the pot for us.
Hey,
and make sure to go follow my guy Sir Clifton 718 on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Jahtiek Long Art on Instagram.
No, just Jahtiek Long.
Yeah,
just Jahtiek Long on Instagram.
Yeah, Jahtiek
That's
Long.
my Facebook though. If you want to add me on Facebook, Jahtiek Long Art.
I'm gonna drop all the links.
All the links in between.
So let's get into it.